Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 51. Peak Martial Emperor. Wu. Enduring the immense pain in his body, Xiaoyan's eyes turned red. Sweat soaked his clothes, and his throat kept letting out deep growls like that of a beast. His entire body trembled violently. Xiaoyan felt the qi in his body suddenly increase. A trace of joy flashed across his red eyes. In his body, an origin chains had steadily penetrated through all the meridians in his body, making a rustling sound. Flame mantra burning spell, just what is this thing? Feeling Xiaoyan's qi soaring like a rocket, Yi Tianqian took a deep breath and said with slight shock. After so many days, he carefully recalled for a long time, but he still had no clue about the flame mantra burning spell. It was as if this thing did not belong to this world. Could it be even more ancient than the Eight Powers? Yi Tianqian shook his head and did not speak anymore. The Eight Powers could be said to be the most ancient thing, and it was also the time when the Great World was born. If they went any further, it would not be something that could be discussed by the Supreme Saint. Boom! In a short period of time, an aura that was even sharper than before erupted from Xiaoyan's body. At the same time, the soft sound of the chains also came from his body. 7 rank warriors. These words burst out from the gaps between Xiaoyan's teeth. Although his face was in so much pain that it changed shape, Yi Tianqian could easily feel the excitement on his face. Looking at Xiaoyan's trembling body, sweat drenched the grass below him. His fists crazily pounded on the ground to divert his attention. In just a short while, the hard ground was actually hit by numerous fist marks. Yi Tianqian's heart also had a trace of shock at this moment. Xiaoyan's badly mutilated fists and ferocious face caused his expression to gradually become serious. For the sake of strength, I can really endure all kinds of pain. Hey, this little guy is quite similar to me in the past. Yi Tianqian lightly smiled, the hands behind his back slowly clenched into fists. Unparalleled pain crazily consumed Xiaoyan's nerves. At this moment, in Xiaoyan's body, golden flames mixed with tiny lightning continuously pierced into the former's limbs, bones, meridians, and muscles. Under the crazy piercing of the flames, Xiaoyan's body was in a mess. Blood mist filled the air, and countless meridians were almost broken. His bones were also trembling as he supported himself, like a defeated battlefield. Bang! 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 Xiaoyan's fists kept hitting the ground. His fists were badly mutilated. His white bones were exposed, stained with blood. Even so, Xiaoyan acted as if he did not hear it. The pain in his body and nerves almost drove him crazy. The small wound on his hand was not worth mentioning. Boom! After waiting for a few minutes, Xiaoyan once again heard this heavenly sound. As the 8th origin chains penetrated all of his meridians, a powerful aura erupted. It's still rising. Yi Tianqian could feel Xiaoyan's qi and did not stop at all. He also exclaimed. The rapid increase in strength brought by the combination of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame and the 3000 Lightning Monarch Flame would not cause any harm to his future cultivation. It was also because of this that Yi Tianqian did not stop him. As Xiaoyan's qi soared, the black gold, force, on his tattered clothes started shining crazily. The words were getting more and more condensed. After another explosion, Xiaoyan's aura finally slowed down, and finally stopped at the peak of the 9 sovereigns, only a step away from becoming a sovereign. Within Xiaoyan's body, the 9 thick and solid origin chains whistled as they passed through his meridians. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the 9 origin chains were already showing signs of merging into one. When the 9 origin chains merged into a new origin chains, it would be the time for Xiaoyan to become a sovereign master. The flames gradually calmed down from its violent state and shot out a faint scarlet golden light. It slowly spread within Xiaoyan's body and warmed up his severely injured bones and meridians. Xiaoyan's tightly knitted brows gradually relaxed when he felt the waves of soothing sensation coming from his body. The scarlet red color in his eyes also slowly disappeared. He slightly raised his arm and wiped the sweat on his face. A layer of smile quickly surged onto Xiaoyan's pale face. Finally, the peak of the D class. When he first entered the illusionary realm, he only had 3 D class. Now, in a short period of a year, he had soared to the peak of the D class. Although there was a large reason for this, which was because he had absorbed the energy of the monarch flame, Xiaoyan was extremely satisfied. After the Chaos Great Monarch Flame had successfully devoured the 3,000 Lightning Monarch Flames, his strength had soared once again. Compared to the pain he had suffered earlier, it was worth it. When Yi Tianqian saw this, he also sighed softly. Although a peak sovereign was still inferior to an ant in his eyes, the speed at which he was advancing made him click his tongue. This kind of monstrous genius could even be ranked among the top geniuses he had seen in his life. I wonder if the flame mantra burning spell has evolved. Xiao Yan, who was about to take a rest, suddenly had a change in his expression. He endured the tremendous pain in his body and immersed his mind into his body. He was filled with anticipation as he felt the changes in the flame mantra burning spell. When he felt the intense heat contained within the flame mantra burning spell, he immediately burst into laughter. After that, a wave of dizziness passed through his eyes, and he was forced to withdraw his mind. Xiao Yan couldn't help but faint from the pain. Early Emperor rank. While unconscious, Xiao Yan weakly mumbled. A smile unconsciously appeared on his face. Yi Tianqian let out a soft sigh. With a wave of his sleeve, both of them disappeared. When Xiao Yan regained his consciousness, the tearing pain in his body had become extremely fuzzy. More than half of his injuries had recovered, and the wounds on his skin had recovered to their original state. Xiao Yan understood that this must be the credit of Yi Tianqian. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to recover to such an extent by himself. He looked around and found himself in the middle of the square. Without seeing Yi Tianqian's figure, Xiao Yan's mind moved slightly. The crimson gold flame appeared in front of Xiao Yan. After which, the Xiaoao suddenly jumped out from within. His intelligent eyes looked at the scarlet golden flame. His eyes were filled with excitement. The Xiaoao had also obtained quite a number of benefits by borrowing Xiaoyan's soaring strength. He could vaguely feel that he had broken through to the 8th Sovereign Master Realm. It's all thanks to you this time. Xiao Yan intimately touched the Xiaoao's big head and softly said. If it wasn't for the former making a move at a critical moment, he was afraid that the outcome wouldn't have been so good. The Xiaoao used its big head to gently nudge Xiaoyan's body, letting out a series of cheerful sounds. Xiao Yan withdrew his gaze and looked at the scarlet golden flame in front of him. In the past, after absorbing the heavenly flame in Fighting Key Continent, the heavenly flame did not merge with the heavenly flame from before. However, this was the first time Xiao Yan had encountered such a situation, and he did not know what to do for a moment. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Yan slowly extended his hand into the crimson gold flame. In the next moment, the scarlet red and the golden color in the flame gradually separated. Not long after that, two kinds of Chaos Great Monarch Flame and the 3,000 Lightning Monarch Flame appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's breathing became hurried, and he almost couldn't conceal the wild joy in his heart. The two types of flames couldn't help but fuse into one. They could also be separated by themselves. After being wild with joy for a while, a strange light suddenly surged into Xiao Yan's eyes. He let out a light breath and held the two flames with both hands. After looking at them for a while, his eyes suddenly focused. As if he had made up his mind, Xiao Yan held the two types of flames in his hands and slowly drew his hands together. Buddha Fury Fire Lotus. This was Xiao Yan's goal. In the Fighting Key Continent, Buddha Fury Fire Lotuses were Xiao Yan's trump card for all eternity. This was because the extreme power of the heavenly flame was extremely powerful. It was extremely common for Xiao Yan who used flames to kill someone who was a level higher than him. Now, in the great world, it was unknown how powerful the enhanced monarch flames that were used with stronger Buddha Fury Fire Lotuses would be. Currently, Xiao Yan only had two kinds of monarch arts, the monarch skill. Even if he was much stronger than those who were at the same level as him, he would still be forced to retreat if he encountered an expert. Therefore, Xiao Yan urgently needed a powerful trump card, the Buddha Fury Fire Lotus. Without a doubt, it was the best choice. Under Xiao Yan's control, the two flames slowly drew closer to each other. A hot and fierce qi suddenly filled the entire world. The air was filled with a force that could move one's soul. He could feel this extremely powerful force. Xiao Yan's heart trembled violently. He had such a powerful force even before it had fully formed. If it succeeded, even an expert at Zhao Qingshan's level wouldn't be able to bear it. Kai. The two flames became more and more violent, and the fire rolled. However, it was difficult to merge them even after an inch. A layer of sweat appeared on Xiaoyan's forehead, and all the soul energy between his eyebrows surged out. He carefully wrapped the two flames, and with this, he reached a slight balance point. At this moment, the boundless soul of a sovereign realm expert in the fighting key continent seemed to be stretched out. He could not control the two flames in detail. He could not feel the so-called balance even after a long time. Xiaoyan's attention was highly focused. Sweat fell into his eyes, but Xiaoyan didn't dare to blink. He focused all of his attention on controlling the two violent flames. Kai! Another buzzing sound was heard. The two flames finally collided. A violent and fierce power soared into the sky, as if it was tearing the sky apart. The space where the flames were was slightly distorted because of this huge power. Xiaoyan was just about to heave a sigh of relief when suddenly, a chaotic and violent ki was emitted from the flames. Xiaoyan's facial expression changed instantly, and his soul power surged up like a tidal wave. He only managed to hold on for a split second, and the energy produced by the fusion of the two flames suddenly exploded. Xiaoyan, who was at the center of the explosion, instantly turned pale. The enormous origin monarch ki in his body had been absorbed, and he didn't even have the strength to dodge. Stop! Just as the violent impact was about to reach Xiaoyan, a faint voice suddenly sounded from the void. The moment the voice faded, the massive energy impact stopped, and then it vanished. Little guy, you are too reckless. How can the soul of your lower realm control the holy object of a great world? Before Xiaoyan could express his gratitude, the void not far away distorted. Yi Tianqian walked out from the void and looked at Xiaoyan, who was in a sorry state. He couldn't help but curse. Xiaoyan smiled bitterly. He said in a respectful tone, "Thank you, Elder Yi, for saving my life." Yi Tianqian arrived in front of Xiaoyan in a few steps and said unhappily, "No need to thank me, as long as you don't destroy my illusion realm." Xiaoyan smiled awkwardly and shut his mouth. Yi Tianqian glanced at Xiaoyan and said, "You want to risk your life again because you have almost recovered." Without waiting for Xiaoyan to speak, Yi Tianqian changed his tone and said, "Your soul power is far from enough to control the integration of the two kinds of monarch flames, but you must rely on them in future battles. So, you must succeed in this three-step soul transfer." Xiaoyan's heart trembled. He raised his head and faced Yi Tianqian's gaze, then he nodded with a solemn expression. Chapter end. Chapter 52. Three-step soul transfer. Ever since Xiaoyan had advanced to the peak of the sovereign realm, Yi Tianqian had given up on the idea of continuing his cultivation. When he left, he threw a soul scroll to Xiaoyan and disappeared without a word. When Xiaoyan finished reading the contents of the scroll, an indescribable joy quickly surged onto his face. There were only a few words on the scroll. After the soul is formed, the cauldron will be opened to refine pills. Within a month, he would familiarize himself with the sudden increase in strength and pick 30 sets of medicinal ingredients to refine the resurrection pill. After a few short lines of words, a soul-light diagram formed from a vast and mighty soul was formed. When Xiaoyan's soul entered it for the first time, it was as though he was facing an endless ocean. That kind of feeling was almost suffocating. After gradually familiarizing himself with this soul pressure, Xiaoyan carefully looked at the densely packed soul light clusters within. Within the light clusters were all kinds of medicinal ingredients. There was a variety of different kinds and a variety of dazzling items. It was simply comparable to a medicinal ingredient ancient book. Compared to this, the thing that Zhao Qingshan gave him was at most a child's toy. For a moment, after receiving so many medicinal ingredients, Xiaoyan also felt dizzy in his soul. After looking at it for a while, he felt dizzy and extremely tired in his soul. Looking at the four main medicinal ingredients to refine the returning clarity pill: inkleaf spirit grass, white pearl lotus, 3 leaves profound flower, fresh leaf fruit. Xiaoyan was instantly speechless. To find the introduction and image of these 4 herbs in the countless light clusters was no different from finding a needle in a haystack. This also meant that he needed to look through all of these light clusters before he could find them. This was probably Yi Tianqian's goal. Xiaoyan only took a rough glance at these light clusters. There were at least 200,000 of them. Each light cluster contained a detailed introduction and image of a medicinal ingredient. It could be said that it was extremely harsh to look through all of these medicinal ingredients in a month's time. Even so, Xiaoyan was still unusually happy. This one was more comprehensive than what Zhao Qingshan had given him. The detailed introduction of the herb was very attractive to alchemists. Putting aside everything else, just the strength of Yi Tianqian, the supreme saint. When he was still alive, he had to visit a vast place, and he had seen more precious herbs than any ordinary alchemist. There were even some rare and unique herbs that were only a little bit of them. It's precious enough. In the following period of time, Xiao Yan finally relaxed. He no longer spent any effort on improving his strength. Instead, he placed all of his attention on the hundreds of thousands of medicinal ingredients. Compared to the medicinal ingredients in the fighting Qi continent, the medicinal ingredients in the Great World had an additional type of dense spiritual Qi. Compared to the medicinal ingredients that Xiao Yan had randomly refined, these medicinal ingredients that were used to refine true medicine pills were much more agile. Sitting quietly on top of a green rock, Xiao Yan's eyes were tightly shut, and his mind was immersed in the scroll that was floating in front of him. Soul energy flowed out from between his eyebrows, forming a faint dark cloud. The dark cloud continuously entered the scroll, continuously devouring tens of thousands of soul light spheres. With Xiao Yan's rich experience in alchemy and fighting Qi continent, he was very familiar with some of the herbs. Therefore, he didn't feel much pressure memorizing the herbs in the soul light spheres. His soul entered the dense soul light ball. In just an instant, all the information of the herbs contained in the soul light ball was deeply imprinted in Xiao Yan's mind and the depths of his soul. Although this method was fast, it consumed a lot of mental and soul energy. Yi Tianqian's soul was something that Xiao Yan couldn't catch up to even if he were to butter him up. Even if it was just a wisp of soul light, it would still be impossible for him to catch up with Yi Tianqian's soul. When Xiao Yan's tiny soul power first entered it, it was as if he had crashed into a huge rock, causing his chest to feel stuffy. His head was buzzing, as if it was going to explode. It took him a long time to recover from his drowsy state. Xiao Yan felt a splitting headache and his soul felt like it was being torn apart. He let out a light breath and rested for a while. Then, he carefully controlled his soul to enter the soul light ball again. Time passed quickly. 20 days had quietly passed in a flash. When Xiao Yan, who had been meditating like an old monk for 20 days, suddenly opened his eyes at a certain moment, a joy surged onto the former's face. There are a total of 347,269 medicinal ingredients. Amongst them, there are around 100,000 of them growing on Precipice Cliff, where no one lives. There are no more than 4,000 types of medicinal ingredients that are commonly used to refine medicine pills. The result of these 20 days was roughly summarized from the bottom of his heart. Xiao Yan stretched his body. Immediately, several dried leaves drifted down from his body. After stretching his meridians, which he hadn't moved for a long time, Xiao Yan slowly got up. After these 20 days of impacting the soul light clusters, a stronger soul energy surged out from between his eyebrows. Xiao Yan also smiled excitedly when he sensed the obvious strength of the soul force. Although Yi Tianqian's soul force was extremely powerful, it had an unexpected effect on tempering one's soul. After memorizing over 300,000 medicinal ingredients, Xiao Yan gently waved his hand and the soul scroll in front of him quietly shattered. It turned into soul spots and dissipated into the world. Xiao Yan smiled slightly as he watched the scroll disappear. Since he had memorized all of the medicinal ingredients, it was time to do his best to search for the medicinal ingredients in the remaining time. White pearl lotus. It is white in shape and has 3 flower petals. There is a white pearl within the flower petals and it is filled with a dark and cold feeling. Xiao Yan stood at the top of a mountain and looked at the boundless forest below. After pondering for a while, he whispered the characteristics of the white pearl lotus. At the same time, a white 3-petal white lotus slowly appeared in his mind. The medicinal ingredients in the soul light ball were sorted out after Yi Tianqian's death. According to his previous experience, he completed the characteristics and images of these medicinal ingredients one by one. This was also the reason why Xiao Yan could quickly remember them. Otherwise, just a large piece of text that was as vast as smoke might not even be remembered in 200 days, let alone 20 days. With the help of the images and rich alchemist experience in his mind, Xiao Yan quickly found a slender and graceful white pearl lotus in the dark of a stream. Although it had been washed by the stream for an unknown period of time, the white petals on it were still as clean as new. It could be said that it had not been stained by the mud and was clear and not demonic. With a delighted mood, Xiaoyan carefully picked up the white pearl lotus. Looking at the medicinal herbs in his hand, Xiaoyan's heart suddenly jumped violently. His throat moved and Xiaoyan took a deep breath. He knew that if the soul transformation was successful, then this white pearl lotus might be the first herb he had refined in the great world. Following the same method, he found a few other medicinal ingredients. When he finished plucking the 30 medicinal ingredients needed to refine the Return Clarity pill, a month's time quietly passed. On the plaza paved with limestone, there were lofty mountains in the distance. The dense forest was like an endless sea of green. Waves of wind swept over, bringing along layers of green waves that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Yi Tianshan's gaze swept across the 30 complete sets of medicinal herbs on the ground. He smiled lightly and did not say anything. His gaze turned to Xiaoyan, and his expression suddenly became serious as he said, "Little fellow, I don't want to say the importance and danger of soul transformation again. These medicinal herbs, whether you throw them away as trash or keep the ingredients to refine medicine pills, it all depends on you." Yi Tianshan mused for a moment when he saw Xiaoyan nod with a grave expression. He appeared to be considering his words. A moment later, he slowly opened his mouth and spoke. Soul transformation is divided into 3 steps. The first step is to release all the souls within your body and allow the person who transformed your soul to devour them. What? Xiaoyan couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. He couldn't help but shout out loud and release all the souls. Wasn't there only an empty shell left? Without a soul, there would be no intelligence and consciousness. If that was the case, what was the difference between him and a dead person? When Yi Tianshan heard Xiaoyan's exclamation, he rolled his eyes and said, "I still want to devour your soul. Although this process isn't very dangerous, it requires a lot of effort. I'm afraid that the old injuries that I've healed for 10,000 years will relapse this time." "I'm not surprised why you are so surprised." Xiaoyan smiled awkwardly when he heard this. However, the shock on his face did not disappear. Yi Tianshan seemed to have seen through Xiaoyan's surprise. He paused for a moment and said, "At that time, you will be the receiver. You will need to release all of your soul and completely sever the connection between you and your soul. After that, I, the transformer, will merge the soul you released into my own soul. Use the power of the soul of the great world to assimilate your soul." Clearing his throat, Yi Tianshan continued, "When the assimilation is almost complete, fuse the thickest part of your soul origin and my soul into a new soul body that possesses half of the soul of the great world. After that, I will use the powerful origin monarch key to repeatedly condense and compress it. When the new soul body is condensed into a soul origin, the first step will be completed." After saying a large piece, Yi Tianshan let out a soft sigh. He looked at Xiaoyan, who was deep in thought, and did not say anything. He just sat cross-legged quietly, waiting for Xiaoyan to comprehend it himself. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the confused look on Xiaoyan's face finally disappeared. His pupils became focused again. He looked at Yi Tianshan, who was looking at him with a smile. Xiaoyan grinned and nodded. "Elder Yi, this kid understands." During that period of time, Xiaoyan had been thinking about a problem, which was the ownership of the new soul body. As a new ownerless soul body, Xiaoyan was most worried about how to make his memories and other things intact. After some quiet pondering, Xiaoyan finally figured it out. There were all kinds of living things in the world. The biggest reason for this difference was that the soul origin was different. It could be said that the soul origin was intelligent. The source of one's thoughts, the soul origin of every person, was unique. Therefore, even if his soul was assimilated by Elder Yi's soul, the soul origin was still his soul origin's master. With this, the problem that Xiaoyan was most worried about was solved. Yi Tianshan nodded slightly. He organized his thoughts and said, "This second step. It should not be difficult for you. After forming a new soul body into a soul origin, you need to place it in the realm of origin monarch key density. After the refinement and fusion of the origin monarch key, 10 days later. Only then will you be able to place it between your eyebrows." The difficulty of this second step was that your body would dry up for dozens of days. If you pour your soul power into it, your physical body might not be able to withstand such a powerful energy and explode. My thought is, during the time you lost your soul, use monarch flames to burn your body and keep it in a state of cultivation. If that's the case, Your body will be filled with a trace of vitality. This second step, the danger will be greatly reduced. When Xiao Yan heard this, a hint of joy could not help but rise in his brows. Before he could speak, Yi Tianqian said again, however, what I'm worried about is that you are not very familiar with the control of the 3000 lightning monarch flames. If you use the Chaos Great Monarch Flame, the 3000 lightning monarch flames might have an unpredictable hindrance to the infusion of your soul in an ownerless state. Xiao Yan frowned. What Yi Tianqian said was true. He was indeed not very familiar with the control of the 3000 lightning monarch flames. If it wasn't for the suppression of the Xiaoao in his body, he would probably have to split out a strand of his mind to control it no matter what. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan's expression suddenly became joyful. He suddenly raised his head, and his dark eyes shone with a trace of excitement. Elder Yi, the Xiaoao can completely suppress the 3000 lightning monarch flames. I guarantee that nothing will happen to this kid. Yi Tianqian was startled. Then, he smiled and nodded. That's good. The third step of soul transformation. At the same time, the most important step was to completely fuse the soul origin that was poured into his body with the soul. This step is a little complicated, and I don't know much about it. When the time comes, your mind will recover a little. At that time, I'll guide you step by step. Xiao Yan took a deep breath when he heard this. Although Yi Tianqian had spoken casually about this process, it must have been extremely dangerous. Otherwise, how could there be so few alchemists in the lower realm? But no matter how dangerous it was, he had to succeed in this three-step soul transfer. Chapter end. Spader 53. Control the soul. Although Xiao Yan was a little disappointed that Yi Tianqian didn't explain the important third step in detail, he still focused his attention. Although the third step was the most important, the first two steps were undoubtedly important. After telling Xiao Yan some things he needed to pay attention to, Yi Tianqian rose into the air and waved his sleeve. An invisible force shot out in all directions like a sharp sword. In an instant, Xiao Yan could sense that everything in the illusion had stopped. He couldn't even feel the flow of time. After finishing this, Yi Tianqian landed on the square. With a solemn expression, he said, I have completely stopped this illusion. Nothing can interfere with the transformation of the soul. Little guy, are you ready? Xiao Yan adjusted his excited state of mind and exhaled a breath of turbid air. No problem. Elder Yi, let's begin. Just now, he had already given the Xiaoao the task of suppressing the 3000 lightning Xiaoao. He repeatedly reminded it several times, and only stopped when the Xiaoao put away its smiling face and obediently entered the 3000 lightning monarch flames. This could not be blamed on Xiaoyan's nervousness. After all, soul transformation was not like cultivation. A moment of carelessness could cause one's soul to scatter. Hearing Xiaoyan's answer, Yi Tianqian's expression became a little more serious. Immediately after, his eyes focused. A vast and boundless soul force slowly formed in the sky like a dark cloud. Instantly, the entire place was filled with an aura that caused one's soul to tremble. The enormous soul force even formed small soul storms that whistled past. Compared to Yi Tianqian's ocean-like soul force, Xiaoyan's soul force was merely a stream. It formed a blurry dark cloud above the latter's head. Under Yi Tianqian's soul pressure, it seemed to be trembling slightly. Cut off the soul connection. Xiao Yan, who was fully focused, heard this sentence. His expression immediately became serious. He shouted softly as if he had cut off something. A tearing sound immediately sounded between his brows. At the same time the sound rang out, the glow in Xiaoyan's eyes swiftly dimmed. The focus in his pupils gradually spread, and his skin also rapidly aged. At this moment, red flames suddenly ignited around Xiaoyan's body. Under the scorching heat of the flames, the rapidly aging body gradually stopped. Faint rays of light jumped within the flames, continuously injecting energy into this body. Almost at the same time, the faint soul dark cloud above Xiaoyan's head seemed to have lost its restraints. Specks of light flickered and quickly began to separate, as if they were going to disappear from this world. Yi Tianqian, who was not far away, smiled. The huge soul cloud in the sky rushed forward like a tidal wave, wrapping around a small part of Xiaoyan's soul without losing anything. Within Yi Tianqian's huge soul cloud, Xiaoyan's soul cloud was rushing left and right. It was not peaceful for a moment. Yi Tianqian smiled faintly and closed his eyes, allowing the latter to do whatever he wanted. After charging for a long time, this soul cloud could not break through no matter what. After about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, as if it had used up all its energy, the soul cloud gradually calmed down. Yi Tianqian also opened his eyes at this moment. He raised his head and looked at the sea of souls in the sky. With a slight movement of his finger in his sleeve, a majestic soul rushed towards the dark soul cloud like a tiger or wolf. In the blink of an eye, the dark soul cloud disappeared without a trace. After devouring Xiaoyan's soul, the dark soul cloud began to churn violently like a pot exploding. Just as it was about to surge, a golden light flashed in Yi Tianqian's eyes. Then, he waved both of his hands, and invisible waves spread out from his palms. This illusion was created by Yi Tianqian's soul power. Therefore, under the full power of the former, not only did the soul cloud in front of him start to spin crazily, even the illusion began to faintly shake. Especially the space that Yi Tianqian's palms passed through. Numerous spatial cracks appeared, turning into spatial fragments that were destroyed in an instant. The soul cloud in the sky was spinning faster and faster. At the center, it even formed a tiny soul storm. Within the storm, even the air was no longer there. The sound of explosions could be heard without an end. Very quickly, a vacuum zone spread out from the center of the storm. Soul cloud layer. The whistling sound of the rotation was incessant. It tore apart the lazy clouds in the sky. As the rotation continued, the power of this circle of souls also continued to increase. Under Yi Tianqian's control, the towering mountains in the distance also turned into soul light spots and poured into the sky, causing the rotating souls to gradually form a bright and clean soul jade plate. After 2 days of rotation, the vacuum space formed by the soul jade plate grew to a few hundred meters in size. Yi Tianqian, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly let out a low shout. With a wave of his sleeve, the entire heaven and earth suddenly changed. The ink-black soul jade plate suddenly condensed, and following that, countless black rays of light burst out from it. The rays of light gathered in the vacuum zone in the center of the soul jade plate. In an instant, a soul sphere that was dozens of meters in size was formed, and it shot out a dazzling black light. The entire illusion realm was instantly covered in black light. The momentum is quite great. Using his peripheral vision to scan his surroundings, Yi Tianqian chuckled lightly. His gaze shifted to the soul light ball at the center of the soul jade plate, and his expression suddenly became solemn. His soul and Xiaoyan's soul had been refined over the past 2 days. A semi-soul body belonging to a great world had already taken shape. The so-called half-soul body was the source of the soul of a great world. A soul body with the key of a soul from the lower realm. This 3-step soul transfer. These 3 steps were only the basic requirements, and what was needed in the process. But there were a lot of them. For the sake of this time, it could be said that he had spent a lot of time and effort, and had almost used up all the treasures he had collected for tens of thousands of years. Countless precious treasures were thrown into it, because the connection between the soul and the body was completely cut off. It was not as simple as the soul leaving the body. The body that lost the soul was like a dried corpse. The extreme could even become a killing machine, and a soul without the body. It was like a wandering ghost that could disappear into the world at any time. Unless he used a special secret technique or spiritual item to temporarily keep it in the world. Yi Tianqian was an ultimate saint expert when he was alive, so his collection could be said to be extremely rich. However, as he fell, most of the treasures also turned into nothingness. In these 10,000 years, a portion of the treasures that were still alive had lost their spirituality, and what was left was. All of them were extremely rare treasures. In order to successfully transform Xiaoyan's soul, Yi Tianqian had used almost all of the treasures he could use, and because of this, the aura of this soul ball was extremely powerful. Next, the origin monarch key will take shape for it. He mumbled. Yi Tianqian glanced at Xiaoyan, who was sitting cross-legged not far away from him. He looked like a bag of bones and bones. He couldn't help but frown, even though he had the help of the monarch flame. In just 2 days' time, Xiaoyan's appearance had become like an old man who was about to die. He looked extremely old. If you look old, then so be it. As long as your internal organs are intact, it will be fine. After muttering to himself, Yi Tianqian let out a soft sigh. There was a tiredness on his face that he couldn't get rid of. Immediately, he waved his sleeve, stirring a large number of Origin Monarch Ki in the illusion realm and rushing towards this place. Very quickly, countless Origin Monarch Ki surged over. They were thick and viscous, forming numerous Emperor Ki marshes. The soul light spheres in the sky were nourished by the Origin Monarch Ki, and immediately, the light expanded. Black light instantly covered half of the sky, as if it was covered by darkness. It was a spectacular sight. Condense. A slightly aged voice suddenly resounded in the sky. In the next moment, the endless Origin Monarch Ki swarmed over like tidal waves, covering the soul light spheres. In a few breaths' time, they formed a thick layer of Emperor Ki armor. As if it was thirsting for a large amount of Origin Monarch Ki, the black color of the soul light ball became purer and purer, and the black color that covered the sky gradually shrunk. In the end, all of the black light was sucked into the soul light ball. Looking at the shrinking soul light ball, Yi Tianqian took a deep breath. His hands in his sleeves involuntarily trembled. Immediately, a paleness quickly surged onto the handsome face of the former. Good fellow, it really took a lot of effort. He helplessly laughed softly. Yi Tianqian looked at Xiao Yan again, who was not far away. With a glance, Xiao Yan was like a skeleton with sunken eyes. His long black hair that was originally draped over his shoulders had turned pale and fell off. There was not a trace of blood on his body. His face was as pale as a rock, and it was a shocking sight. Within his body, his heart had almost stopped beating. The flow of his blood had also become extremely slow. Even the 9 buzzing origin chains had lost their luster. They were like rusty metal chains that hung limply from his body. Beside Xiaoyan's heart, a small cluster of scarlet-red flame was slowly burning. With the help of the flame's energy, his heart was barely beating. Under the continuous pouring of Origin Monarch Ki, the several thousand feet large soul ball had completely condensed into a soul origin. The pure black color seemed to be able to penetrate through one's heart and reach the deepest part of one's soul. A feeling of life quietly emerged from it. Sensing the pure soul force contained within this soul origin, a trace of joy flashed across Yi Tianqian's eyes. His expression also became somewhat excited. It's a little stronger than I expected. After muttering softly, Yi Tianqian shifted his gaze to Xiao Yan, who was like a dried corpse. With a light flick of his finger, the soul origin shot into Xiao Yan's forehead like a black lightning bolt. When the soul origin entered Xiao Yan's glabella, streams of black light suddenly flowed out from the dried corpse's body. Under Yi Tianqian's powerful senses, Xiao Yan's life force was recovering bit by bit. The black light flowed from the center of his brows to his body. In just a moment, Xiao Yan's body had returned to its original state. His skin was flushed red. His face had also returned to its original state. Within Xiao Yan's body, as the black light covered him, the organs that had lost most of their vitality also gradually recovered. The 9 metallic origin chains once again lit up, producing a rustling sound. Both of his eyes were staring at Xiao Yan's body. When the black light covered his entire body, the former's body suddenly trembled, as if it could not withstand the new energy that was poured into his body. Just as it was about to explode, at this moment, a wisp of scarlet flame seeped out of his body and the fire spread. It instantly enveloped Xiao Yan's body, and a black light burst out from his body. When the black light covered his entire body, Xiao Yan, who had his eyes tightly closed, frowned slightly. It was as if he had regained a trace of consciousness. Seeing the successful completion of the second step, Yi Tianqian let out a breath. At the same time, his expression became serious. The third step was the most important. Chapter end. Chapter 54. The final step. At this moment, within Xiao Yan's body, a soul that was almost invisible was wrapped by 3,000 lightning monarch flames. It quietly stopped in front of Xiao Yan's chest. Now, start to spread your soul. Remember, there are only 5 days left. Yi Tianqian's soul voice kept echoing in Xiao Yan's mind, like a yellow bell, shaking Xiao Yan's mind. Scatter. Soul. Xiao Yan was like a newborn baby, mumbling these words without any consciousness. His slightly opened eyes revealed a confused look. When Yi Tianqian saw this, he suddenly stretched out his right hand and grabbed Xiao Yan's lower abdomen. Split it for me. A thunderous shout shook every organ in Xiao Yan's body. In the next moment, the 9 origin chains in Xiao Yan's body started shaking crazily. They stirred the enormous origin monarch ki that had entered his body and rushed towards the 3000 lightning flame in Xiaoyan's chest like a storm, nourishing the infant soul inside. As the 9 origin chains were fully restored, numerous huge origin monarch ki began to pour into Xiaoyan's body. They flowed along his meridians into the origin monarch crystal, and in just a few moments, the origin chains flowed along the monarch flames and into the 3000 lightning origin monarch ki. Under the control of the Xiaoao, these massive Xiaoao flowed into Xiaoyan's body. Very quickly, the infant soul began to emit a faint crystal light. Time passed as Xiaoyan crazily absorbed the origin monarch ki. On the 3rd day, it finally stopped. Yi Tianshan's heart, which had been waiting for a long time, suddenly jumped to his throat. This time, his soul had been scattered into various parts of his body. If he succeeded, his soul could perfectly merge with his body and reach the same state of mind. If it fails, or if the body backfires on the soul, or the soul dissipates, these 2 consequences, neither of them could bear it. After the origin monarch ki seizure, there was a brief period of peace within the 3000 lightning monarch flames. The Xiaoao that had been busy for 3 days was currently lying on the fire source of the 3000 lightning monarch flames, gasping for breath. It couldn't help but let out a soft sigh as it looked at the crystal clear soul larva that had temporarily stopped moving. At this moment, the soul larva suddenly emitted a bright black light. The Xiaoao immediately bared its teeth, but when it remembered Xiaoyan's instructions, it could only bitterly look at the changes in the soul larva without moving. The black glow only lasted for a moment before the infant soul in the middle suddenly exploded. It transformed into countless threads of soul energy that shot out from the 3000 lightning monarch flame and surged all over Xiaoyan's body. Yi Tianshan's sharp senses were aware of the situation within Xiaoyan's body. His calm voice contained a trace of excitement that was difficult to detect. Capture every soul origin in every cell within your body. After which, burn the soul origin in the cells until they fuse into one. The compatibility between the soul and the body in the future was a crucial step. Only by penetrating the soul into the cells of the entire body could one complete the control of the soul in the body. Silently carrying out Yi Tianshan's orders, Xiaoyan, who had recovered some of his consciousness, had a thought. 3000 lightning monarch flames shot out explosively. With the latter's power, it surged into the place where the soul origins were concentrated. When the fire started, hundreds and thousands of soul origins and cells instantly merged into one. At the place where the soul origins and cells successfully merged, a layer of life force quickly emerged. The blood flowed back, and the origin monarch ki poured in, restoring it to its original state. Even so, nearly a day had passed, and the 3000 lightning monarch flames had only merged 1/10 of all the soul origins. If this continued, the 3-step soul transfer would undoubtedly end in failure. Xiaoyan, who had recovered half of his life force, also sensed this point. Immediately, he could not help but feel anxious. He repeatedly circulated the power of the 3000 lightning monarch flames, and even a tiny portion of the chaos great monarch flame protecting his body was added into it. The Xiaoao within the fire source of the 3000 lightning monarch flame lay lazily within it. When it sensed Xiaoyan's anxiety, it blinked its intelligent eyes and lazily snorted a few times. After which, its forehooves gently stepped on the empty air. The crimson gold flame poured down from its body and poured into the 3000 lightning monarch flame below. The 3000 lightning soul origins that were crazily burning the monarch flames gently shook. Then, under Xiaoyan's pleasantly surprised gaze, they turned into tens of thousands of hair-thin flames. With a light cry from the Xiaoao, the tens of thousands of flames were like soldiers that were ready to set off. Like a stream of light, they shot in all directions around Xiaoyan's body, although their size had been greatly reduced. In just a few breaths of time, nearly 1% of the soul origin had perfectly merged with the cells. After sending a grateful soul message to the Xiaoao, Xiaoyan's heart finally calmed down. He paid full attention to the integration of the soul origin in the cells. Although this step was not very dangerous, it consumed a huge amount of mental energy. Even if his head was splitting, he did not dare to slack off. With the help of the Xiaoao, it only took a day for the millions of soul origin to perfectly fuse with the cells. When his concentrated mental energy relaxed, Xiaoyan felt dizzy and almost fainted. He had been focusing his mental energy for 2 consecutive days. It was already a miracle that Xiao Yan was able to persist until now in his current condition. After all the soul origins had fused with the cells, Xiao Yan's life force had almost completely recovered. He opened his eyes. A black light that penetrated deep into his bone marrow flashed and disappeared, relaxing his muscles and bones. Xiao Yan looked at Yi Tianqian, who was smiling in front of him. He could clearly see the fatigue on Yi Tianqian's face. A warm feeling surged in his heart. He had lost his soul for more than 10 days, so he had almost no feeling at all. It was Yi Tianqian who helped him transform his soul. However, the transformation of his soul should be extremely difficult for this old man who had been dead for tens of thousands of years. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan bowed respectfully to Yi Tianqian and said, "Many thanks to Elder Yi for helping me." Xiao Yan will never forget this in his life. Yi Tianqian was startled when he heard this. Then, he smiled and waved his hand. "Let's talk about this when you have the strength in the future. The 3-step soul transfer has not succeeded yet. Next, you need to extract your soul from your cells and gather it between your eyebrows. After forming a real soul, it will be considered a success." Xiao Yan was puzzled after hearing this. "Since you want to extract it from the cells, why didn't you directly gather it between your eyebrows just now?" Yi Tianqian looked at Xiao Yan and said calmly, "First, inject your soul into the cells in your body first to activate the originally lifeless cells. Second, leave a new soul imprint in the cells. It is the same as your physical body accepting a new soul. The new soul and the physical body can perfectly merge into one." After listening to Yi Tianqian's introduction, Xiao Yan couldn't help but click his tongue. Every step of the 3-step soul transfer could not be neglected. "Alright, let's talk about this later when the time is too tight. Now, let's proceed to the last step. Focus on locking all the cells in your body and extracting your soul energy. Gather it between your eyebrows and make it invisible." Yi Tianqian waved his sleeve and said in a serious voice. Xiao Yan nodded with a serious expression. Yi Tianqian had completed the most important steps. Next, he would have to rely on himself. Immediately, his mind entered his body. The power of nothingness poured down, filling all the meridians in his body. His cells and bones were completely enveloped. Xiao Yan closed his eyes tightly, and under the urging of his mind, the soul origins that had perfectly merged with his cells slowly appeared. They paused for a moment. They surged towards the space between Xiao Yan's eyebrows and turned into an extremely faint black light. Xiao Yan only busied himself for a while before stopping. He looked at the countless soul origins contained in the countless cells in his body. He couldn't help but laugh bitterly. He seemed to have fallen into a state of helplessness. Previously, he relied on the 3,000 lightning monarch flames to calcine the soul origins. It took him a day's time to successfully scatter the soul origins. But now, he had to extract it from his cells. He did not know how long it would take him to complete such a vast project with just his own ability. And now, what he lacked the most was time. 5 days was his bottom line. Unable to come up with a solution, Xiao Yan shifted his attention to the 3,000 lightning monarch flames. Just as he had this thought in mind, a somewhat tender voice sounded in his mind. The 3,000 lightning flame had just transformed into countless Tao child flames and dispersed the soul. Now, its source is severely damaged and is currently recovering. If you want it to weaken and disappear in the end, then use it. When he heard the lazy voice of the Xiao Yan's expression involuntarily changed. His final hope had been blocked. There was no need for the Chaos Great Monarch Flame to protect his body. In this way, Xiao Yan was somewhat frightened to find that he actually had no other way at the moment. He could still extract the soul origin from his cells, but the soul origin that had fused with his bones and meridians was extremely sturdy. Under Xiao Yan's full power, he could only extract one soul origin in a minute. This speed made the corner of Xiao Yan's mouth twitch. It seemed like a day had passed, and the soul that had gathered in between his eyebrows was only an extremely small lump. Xiao Yan couldn't stay calm anymore. He made up his mind. The Chaos Great Monarch Flame that protected his body entered his body and turned into a fiery lotus. The space around the fire lotus flower rippled slightly. In the next moment, countless tiny fire lotuses that were hard to detect with the naked eye swarmed all over Xiao Yan's body. Within the 3,000 lightning monarch flame source of fire, the Xiaoao opened its eyes wide and looked at the densely packed fire lotuses above its head. It couldn't help but shrink its neck and mutter in a low voice, "What a madman!" As it spoke, his lively eyes swept across the little golden dragon that had fallen into hibernation. This little dragon was the fire spirit of the 3000 lightning monarch flame. Because it was swallowed by the Xiao Yi, it usually possessed the Xiao Yi's body. When Xiao Yan used the 3-step soul transfer, in order to better control the 3000 lightning monarch flames, he released it. The Xiaoao blinked its big eyes and finally let out a low and deep sound of pondering. After that, the flames on its body expanded and turned into countless golden red fire snakes that were as thin as strands of hair. They rushed towards all the cells and bones in Xiaoyan's body like tidewater. Without the protection of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame, Xiaoyan's body quickly swelled up due to the surging energy in his body. His skin was scarlet red and his veins were exposed. He looked extremely ferocious. Xiaoyan's eyes were tightly shut, and his entire body was as red as charcoal. Underneath his skin, blood was flowing out. In just a few breaths of time, the blood had broken free from the restraint of his skin and shot out. In an instant, Xiaoyan had become a bloody man. When the blood landed on the ferocious face of the latter due to the pain, it became even more terrifying. His body was like a knife twisting around his body. The pain caused Xiaoyan's mind to scatter and almost collapse. Fortunately, the soul origin in his body had a clear feeling when it gathered between his eyebrows, which made Xiaoyan grit his teeth and hold on. Outside the arena, Yi Tianqian looked at Xiaoyan, who was covered in fresh blood. His eyebrows were lifted. His heart had instantly predicted what was going on. Immediately, an anxious expression appeared in his eyes. His heart was like a taut string that did not relax at all. Within his body, the speed at which he was extracting Chaos Great Monarch flames through the soul origins suddenly increased explosively. He was many times faster than Xiaoyan by himself. His mind was somewhat fuzzy as he sensed all of this. Xiaoyan smiled with a pale face. 5 days should be enough for this kind of speed. At this moment, a whistling sound that blotted out the sky and covered the earth resounded in Xiaoyan's ears. Xiaoyan was startled, but before he could look at where the whistling sound came from, he saw countless strands of scarlet golden flames that were as thin as hair burst out from the 3000 lightning monarch flames, and entered his cells like lightning. Not long after, a large cluster of soul origins that flickered with black light was extracted. In an instant, it arrived between Xiaoyan's eyebrows and smoothly merged with the originally faint black light. In an instant, Xiaoyan felt his vision become clear. This world had a greater tolerance for him. At the same time, Xiaoyan could also feel that the aura of the Xiaoao was rapidly weakening. He thought for a moment. Xiaoyan knew what had happened. In his mind, a trace of fatigue appeared on Yi Tianqian's old face and the dim light in the Xiao Yi's big eyes. Xiaoyan immediately let out a light sigh. A faint smile hung on his pale face. The pain between his brows had faded a little because of this. They were going all out. What did this bit of pain count for? Chapter end. Chapter 55. Become a soul and assimilate. On the square, the soul storm had already ended. The soul pressure that filled the sky had also disappeared. At a certain moment, Yi Tianqian, who had his eyes closed, slowly opened his eyes and looked at Xiaoyan, who was not far away. When he saw that Xiaoyan still showed no signs of waking up, he couldn't help but frown. Yi Tianqian pinched the fingers in his sleeves and whispered, "It's less than 6 hours until the last day ends. Why hasn't this little guy succeeded yet?" At this moment, the blood on Xiaoyan's body had already condensed into a thick blood cocoon, wrapping Xiaoyan within it. Without the protection of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame, Xiaoyan's flesh was torn due to the violent energy. There was not a single undamaged part of his body, but his chest. From the beginning until the end, it was as clean as new, without any injuries. Not a single drop of blood that splashed in all directions landed on his chest. Yi Tianqian quietly looked at Xiaoyan, who had almost lost his breath, in front of him. No one knew when, but the ferocious expression that had appeared on the latter's face due to the intense pain had disappeared. His face, which was covered in fresh blood, had an indifferent and calm expression. Time slowly passed. Yi Tianqian's brows were gently knitted together. Although this 3-step soul transfer was extremely difficult, Xiaoyan possessed 2 types of monarch flame within his body. The difficulty of transforming one's soul should be much lower than others. However, from the looks of it now, his thoughts seemed to be wrong. Anyone who possessed a monarch flame would be blessed by the heavens when their soul was separated. He was able to complete it at an extremely fast speed, but it was also because of this that it was extremely difficult to extract the souls, because when the souls were scattered, it was extremely difficult. The terrifying power of the monarch flame had almost completely integrated the soul origin with the cells. When it was about to be extracted, it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. It's really a success monarch flame, even if it's a failure, it's still a monarch flame. After figuring this out, Yi Tianqian could only smile bitterly. He estimated that there was only 2 hours left. Little guy, you must succeed. Sighing silently in his heart, Yi Tianqian turned around with his hands behind his back. He looked at the distant mountains, but his nerves were unusually tight. He could clearly sense any movement that Xiao Yan made behind him. As time slowly approached, Yi Tianqian's body trembled slightly. The hands in his sleeves loosened and tightened, showing how nervous he was at the moment. Taking a light breath, Yi Tianqian calmed his somewhat anxious heart. He couldn't help but turn his head to look. The figure in the blood cocoon was still sitting with his eyes closed, showing no signs of waking up. He was silent for a long time. When the time in his mind had come to an end, there was a trace of loneliness in his eyes. The tiredness that penetrated deep into his soul could no longer be hidden. As a supreme saint, he actually stumbled as he walked. Did he really fail? Sighing, Yi Tianqian said what he was most unwilling to say. 5 days was the minimum amount of time that the newly born soul could maintain. 5 days later, if he still couldn't perfectly fuse with his body, at the very least, the physical body would rot and become a lone soul. The more important thing is that the soul will be destroyed, and the body will become a killing machine without intelligence. What a disappointing little fellow. Yi Tianqian smiled bitterly and shook his head. This is the first time I have trained a junior with all my strength. All those difficulties have come, but I didn't think that I would fall on the soul transformation. As he spoke, Yi Tianqian's hand touched the thick blood cocoon. As he extended his hand, his slightly withered hand actually trembled slightly. Just as Yi Tianqian's finger touched the blood cocoon, an undetectable cracking sound suddenly came from it. Immediately after, it was unclear what was going on. An unknown strange force quickly gathered above their heads, forming a faint dark cloud. Yi Tianqian's soul was extremely sensitive, and he could instantly sense what this dark cloud was. Immediately, he threw his gaze onto the blood cocoon. Elder Yi, this kid was personally trained by you. How could this soul transformation fail? Almost at the same time, a slightly hoarse voice with some flattery suddenly sounded, causing Yi Tianqian's eyes, which were filled with the vicissitudes of life, to be filled with endless joy. At the same time this voice rang out, cracks quickly spread out on the blood cocoon in front of Yi Tianqian. After which, it split open with a loud bang. The blood cocoon broke into pieces and scattered in all directions, revealing Xiao Yan, who was naked. At this moment, Xiao Yan's eyes had already opened. A black light that penetrated deep into his bone marrow erupted from his pupils. It took a long time before it gradually dissipated. After that, Xiao Yan glanced at his chest out of the corner of his eye. The corner of his mouth trembled as he met Yi Tianqian's surprised gaze. At this moment, this area of the sky was filled with a kind of nearly incorporeal energy. It was filled with a faint pressure as he carefully felt it. It was as if it was an unusual aura that was extremely compatible with the heavens and the earth, and it was completely in line with the strange feeling of the great world. Yi Tianqian, who had played with his soul for over 10,000 years, instantly felt it. Apart from the soul energy, what else could it be? Looking at Xiao Yan, who had gotten up and put on his clothes, the latter had a smiling expression on his face. Yi Tianqian's tensed heart finally relaxed. When he relaxed, he felt an unprecedented fatigue. You bastard, I can't stand this kind of shock. Yi Tianqian laughed lightly and said with slight dissatisfaction. Xiao Yan shook his head with a bitter smile. Originally, with the help of the 2 types of monarch flames, he had already extracted all of the soul origins a day ago, but when he was solidifying the soul origins, the word, force, that was supposed to be on his chest suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The moment the word force that was emitting an ancient aura appeared, it rushed into the soul origins that were already beginning to condense. It absorbed crazily, and looked at the soul origin that had been reduced by more than half in an instant. What? Fortunately, when the black and golden words were only left with a trace of the soul origin, it stopped. Under Xiaoyan's furious gaze, it began to slowly release the soul origin. Seeing this scene, although Xiaoyan was surprised and bewildered, he still heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. However, before Xiaoyan could relax, the black and golden words flashed again. Under Xiaoyan's ashen face, they swallowed all the soul origins that were released. Then, they were released again and swallowed again. This process continued for an unknown period of time. Xiaoyan was almost numb to it. It was not until the black and gold characters released all the soul origins that Xiaoyan regained his senses. He remembered that he had wasted a lot of time and immediately froze. When the soul origin solidified, Xiaoyan could faintly feel that it was much easier for the soul origin to solidify than before. After hearing Xiaoyan's words, a surprised expression also surfaced on Yi Tianshan's face. When he saw that there was still no movement from the front of the soul origin's chest, the doubtful expression on his face became even more obvious. The black and gold words seemed to have penetrated Xiaoyan's skin, faintly. It was extremely blurry, but that was all. Yi Tianshan shook his head and gave up after sensing with his vast soul. Although the word, power, had been studied by countless peerless geniuses for countless generations, as one of the 8 forces whose name had shaken countless eras of the desolate ancient era, their mysteriousness didn't diminish in the slightest. Even as a supreme saint, it was impossible for him to discover anything. Yi Tianshan raised his head and looked at the extremely faint dark cloud above his head. After sensing the strength of the dark soul cloud, his face couldn't help but be filled with astonishment. This level of strength had far exceeded his expectations. Could it be because of the prestige power spell? As his thoughts raced, a light suddenly flashed in Yi Tianshan's mind. After thinking for a moment, he took a deep breath as if he had just realized something. It should be. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.